Everybody knows how good the method feeder can be. But in this video, I want to show you how to turn a great session into one that is absolutely carnage. It's the smallest things that makes the biggest difference, and that is what we're going through in detail. Right then, so method feeder fishing, as I've said, everybody loves it. It catches loads of fish, but there's definitely, for me, two different styles. There's the styles that would suit Boddingtons, Barston, places like that, when you're casting big feeders into massive open water and you're leaving them for like 15, 20 minutes, up to 45 minutes in the winter, setting a trap, waiting for a big fish, and that's obviously a very effective way of fishing. But the second way for me, and this is what I'm going to say about, you can make it absolutely carnage. You can get bites in your hands and stuff like that. And that's what I want to cover today. And that would be places like we are here today. I've never actually been to this venue before since it's been taken over. This is now Toad Hall Fishery. Looks absolutely mega. Lots of fish in here, and more importantly, the right area to fish. I've got a far bank to fish to, so it works really well there in shallow water, lots of fish, lots of bait, regular casts, and making something really happen quickly. So if you're going to do this style of fishing, there's lots of little things that makes the big difference, which hopefully we can show you in today. But let's quickly touch on the tackle, because it is sort of definitely needed to style it to this style of fishing. So first of all, a very light feeder rod. I've got the Ethos XRF medium feeder in 11 foot, but the most important thing, actually not the rod, is a quiver tip that's incredibly light. This has got an ounce quiver tip in. To be honest with you, if I could find a ½ ounce that would fit, I would use a ½ ounce. The lighter quiver tip, the better, and I will show you why that's important when we get fishing in a moment. 6 pound mainline, and I've got that loaded up on my Aquos Ultra 4000. So just a nice lightweight setup. But yeah, a really light quiver tip is the most important thing. Now, actually coming on to the feeders, I'm using an elasticated feeder today. I think if you can use elasticated feeders, you just lose so much less fish, and they definitely make the hook to land ratio better. But this is where I was saying the difference between like your Boddingtons, your Barstons, stuff like that. 90% of the time, I'm using feeders like this, an alloy or a hybrid feeder. They make a neater pile of bait. You cast it in, set your trap, and you wait for that bite. But as I said, we want it to be carnage today. So you switch over to a flatbed method feeder, more bait, quicker dissolving around the feeder. Like as soon as it goes in, it's breaking up. You can double layer it and make it absolutely hectic. You can really go for it. So that is why we go over to the flatbed feeder. Let's talk a little bit about the hooks and stuff like that. Now I'm making it really simple today. If you don't want to tie your own, there you go. You've got the MXC 4-inch hook link, size 14, 020. There's no need to go light on method feeder hook links, but yeah, I'm making it really simple in today's video. Anything can just be grabbed off the shelf and you can go fishing. So I'll talk to you about baits and stuff like that in a moment, but what I want to show you quickly in this first section is the importance of that quiver tip. So I'm just spiking on a little wafter. Like I said, we will go much more into that. I'm loading my method feeder, and again, there's definitely something you can do with your method feeder and your mix and stuff that makes it that carnage. I'm going to keep coming back to that word. And now we're going to go over to our spot. So we're fishing to the far side. It's about a 20-meter cast here. It's quite a short cast. It's another reason why you need those light rods. And then we're going to get the rod straight down. And what I'm not doing is having a big angle in my rods. I want to hit that clip and I can go straight down to my rod rest. And importantly, not put a big bend in my quiver tip. I'm going to get a lot of fish hitting my line. You can already see my tip is jagging. There's fish there straight away. If you've got a really heavy quiver tip and a tight line, that feed is going to get dragged off your spot. So hit your clip, keep it all nice and slack, and you'll know when they're on. Look, my tip is dancing around, but because it's pretty much as slack as I can get it, I'm pretty confident that that 30 gram feeder that I'm using, it's the 30 gram flatbread that I'm using, I'm pretty confident that that isn't moving. So all I can do is wait for that to go and get a proper bite. And it's not going to be long before that happens. I promise you there's going to be a lot of fish today, a lot of action. So let's get this next fish caught, and we've got plenty more to show you. And there we go, just like that. It took about 2 minutes, I'm going to say. And there is another thing that I want to talk to you about how long you're leaving your cast. But whoa, this one is really going for it. Don't know quite how big the fish go in here, but this one is definitely charging down that left hammer. We've got a bit of line back now. He got me right onto the clip. That is one thing that some people actually quite often say, like, when you're clipped up, are you not worried that they're going to cause any issues? But not normally, to be honest. They're obviously, I'm fishing against the far side, so they can only run left or right. You'd be amazed in 20, 22 meters of line how much stretch there is. And I've already said, I'm fishing a reasonably heavy hook link. So unless it really, really went for it, I'm pretty confident I can turn it. And if not, I can quickly just unclip it and you can get yourself out of a muddle, and then you just clip back up to your spot. So yeah, there's the answer for that one. I'm pretty happy that most of the time, unless they're massive fish, you know, if I was fishing Boddingtons, I wouldn't be clipping up, well, unless you're fishing a long way out. But if you're fishing 20 meters out of Boddingtons, I wouldn't advise a line clip. But venues like this, absolutely fine. And it's all about getting so accurate when you can. So it's really, really important to take your time and make sure you get every single fish in. Although we're getting bites quite quickly, you know, I still want this to go in my net. It's not a match day, but if it was a match, I'm going to guess this fish is 3 or 4 pounds the way it's pulling. That's 3 or 4 pounds that someone else has got to catch and you haven't. So it always feels like it takes ages to get a fish in, and in reality it doesn't. Like 2 minutes playing a fish is quite a long while, but sometimes you feel, oh, I had that on for 10 minutes. Like, trust me, 10 minutes is ages. So just take your time and you should be putting fish regularly in the net. What a place this is. Clearly, since it's been taken over, they've put loads of fish in it, and it's absolutely perfect for this really busy sort of carnage style method feeder fishing. So I mentioned it's the small things that make the big difference. Method feeder in essence, there's only so many things you can do, but it's the little things, the 1%, that make this really good. I've already mentioned a few: the lightweight quiver tip, changing over to the flatbed style feeder. Now we want to talk about how regular you're casting, how much noise and how much interaction and fish pulling power you're getting into that swim. So I'll do a separate thing on bait, but I'm just going to spike a wafter in because it's nice and quick, and loading the feeder as well, because we want to get lots of fish in the area. We want them really competing in that shallow water. I'm actually double layering it. So first of all, loading it up, just load it as you normally would, nice little press. That's probably how I would be casting method feeder out normally. You know, if I'm waiting 10-15 minutes for a bite, that would go out absolutely fine. But we want loads of fish, we want them really competing, so we're double layering it. That's now got pretty much, you know, 1.5 times the amount of bait on, hopefully drawing more fish into the area. So if we go back out onto our mark, it's like a sort of 20 meter cast. This it's quite a tricky little cast. It's just too short for a real confident cast, but you've got to be really neat with it on the clip. Now, like I said, get that rod in, don't tighten it up. You can already see that's moving already. I'm not tightening it, but what you want to do is find out how long you're leaving your cast for. Let's slacken that tip off again as that wind's pulling it round. Having a slack tip is so important. And I would say at the start, probably 5 minutes is what I would start. 5-minute cast, getting introduction of bait, and then I'd look to get that down lower and lower, almost to the point where you're fishing, what, 2-minute cast even you can get it down to, depending on how many fish there is. But I have explained this is the style of fishing where you want lots and lots of fish in the area. So I've started my stopwatch. I'm probably going to give it a 3-minute cast now. So we're going to leave that in there. Like, all the while you can see there's indications on there. Wait for a proper bite. You know when they're on. You know, my tip's moving a lot. Just have a tiny little bit of tension in it, because like I said, what I don't want to happen is I don't want that feeder to be dragged off the spot. With the knot tightening up, look how many fish there is. That could be coming towards me, that one. It is. That one just didn't tighten up. But with the knot tightening up, just hitting your clip and letting the wind and your lines sink, it makes a bit of, oh, I've got a skimmer this time. It's a bit different, isn't it? There's all sorts of fish in here, obviously. Let's get that in and let's show you. So that was 1:20, that whole cast. That's from literally the feeder going in to having your first bite. And there we go. Absolutely mega. Put that one in the separate net. And let's show you that again. So stop my stopwatch, reset it to 0. See, still a little bit of bait on there. You think how long that's been in there, it would be coming off. I'm going to seek the same wafter on there again, and we're going to repeat the same process. Double loading, Let's get some more fish in there. Hopefully we can get, I don't know how many bream skimmers there is in here, but the more bait we feed, the more carp we should get pushing them out. And we should catch regularly within that time frame. So we're loaded again and back out there. I can't emphasize enough how, like, the repetition of getting things in the same spot, not moving that feeder, everything needs to be perfect. Start the stopwatch again. Leave that line nice and flat. The only time I'm turning my handle to slightly turn it up is when the wind's blowing it and taking it offline. But you can see, look, indications. When you see people fishing and, you know, if you're leaving a cast in there 10 minutes, you're missing out on so much opportunity. If this doesn't go round in what looks like it's going to be 2 minutes for me now, then something's probably wrong. Feeder could have landed wrong. I could have like foul hooked one or pricked one and it's missed it, moved your feeder and your bait's now not with it. You know, you would be catching quicker. You can just see how much interaction there is on that quiver tip. So definitely worth getting a timer and working out when your bite window is. Your bite window might even be down to a minute. Honestly, you don't know how quick that could be. How many fish are in the swim is all what you dictate it. But when you're trying to catch a lot of fish in shallow water, I definitely wouldn't leave it longer than 5. There we go, and there's another one. And that is now 56 seconds. So I've had 2 fish there. Like one was 1 minute 20. This one's a carp, was within a minute. So it sounds absolutely crazy, but I'd almost be tempted to take my bite time down to like a minute and a half. If I've not had a bite within a minute and a half, I'm literally redoing the process. And you can have, honestly, an unbelievable day because you've just got so much competition there, so many fish there. The amount of bait that a sort of double loaded method feeder can put in, there's probably a bit left there, and the other fish are now feeding confidently, ready for our next cast. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to enjoy this fishing. I'm probably going to catch a few more, and then we'll have a little look at the baits, because there's also definitely something I do with my mix that is different to, what should I say, conventional method feeder, where you're leaving it sort of 10-15 minutes a cast. When it's like this, definitely use a different mix. So let me catch a few fish, enjoy the day, lovely weather, and then we'll come back to you and have a look at the baits. There we go, another fish. Some venue this, by the way, like bite time is pretty much got it down to within 2 minutes. And the best thing about it is you literally don't know what it's going to be. It could be a little tiny 10, should skim with like £1, £2, F1, or then occasionally we're just getting a big carp come along as well, like £4 or £5 carp. So really keeps you guessing. And I just really enjoy catching anything really. I said, you do need a venue like this. If you're going to fish the method in this style, you need somewhere where there's lots of fish, lots of different species competing, or even just if there's lots of carp, it's really good. Oh, look, he's unhooked himself in a net. But they're wicked little, this little carp this time, look, wicked little linear type carp. They're just cool. You never really know what it's going to be. But if I'll put that one in the net, what I want to talk to you now is about the baits, because I've just ran out of the mix that I'm using, so it's the perfect time to talk you through it, because I think I do change mine slightly. So normally I'm an out and out pellet angler when it comes to fishing method feed. I think they work the best most of the time, but in situations like this, shallow water, what I do like to do, lots of fish, really busy, is I like to add some ground bait. Now this is Swim Stim Green, mixed it up in a standard way this morning, put it through a riddle, but I have mixed it really dry and that will become apparent later. So I'll just add a few handfuls of that into it. And I just think the ground bait, smaller particles, just put it all in, smaller particles, stuff like that really does make a difference, and it just keeps the fish in there longer. It just really does draw in a bigger pool of fish. But obviously mixing that with pellets. Now I've made it really easy for everyone here, because one of the questions I quite often get asked is I can't get the pellets right, and people say that you soak tunable pellets for 2 minutes and some pellets work, some pellets don't. And that is true, like a Scretton's pellet or a Coppin's pellet, they're different. So if you struggle with it, take the easy option. I've been lazy today. Feeder ready pellets from Dynamite. I've used the sweet banoffee, and they are just done, ready for you. So you can keep them in your bag, and if you ever fancy a day's method feed fishing, you can just take them out and you can give them a go. So if you want to be lazy like I am today, they are absolutely perfect. So 50-50 mix of the ground bait. Now, like I said, because I keep it dry, once I've mixed that together, I literally just scoop a little bit of water just to add it, just to bind it, and that's how I use my mix. And I use it in a small quantity. There's like 2 pints there, maybe 1.5 pints, and I use it like that because I can keep it how I want it to be. You find if you mixed up like 2 or 3 kilo straight away, obviously sun out today, stuff like that, if it's raining it gets wet, so I just keep myself a nice little one that just makes it fresh every time. But yeah, those pellets are been very good today. They do them in krill flavour as well. I know I'm using a sweet banoffee, but can get them in krill. But if you want to go conventional and soak your own pellets, as a general rule, 2 minutes for 2 mils does work. And then as hook baits, I believe that the secret is small hook bait. So I've been using the hybrids today. They're like multicoloured little wafters, but anything for me that's below 5 mil, like 4 or 5 mil, is perfect. Even like 2 dead red maggots would work, a 4 mil pellet would work. But because I'm using these little wafters, they're so quick. It's all about speed, because obviously we're trying to build up a swim. So you just put your spike in, and I do have a little tub of water in here, and I just test it. Now I know that with the hooks that I showed you using earlier and the spike, they sit perfectly. The hook sits flat and the wafter just wafts above it. So it's taken all the weight of my rig out, and I think that does make a big difference. But for me, I just think it's something that's small is what makes the biggest difference, because you look at the particles they're eating 2 mil pellets and they're eating ground bait. They're not actually sucking very hard to get that bait in. If you've got a heavy hook bait, I think you've seen it enough on the underwater carp fishing, it makes a real big difference. And if the hook bait acts different to how the freebies act, then you quite often miss out on some opportunities. Wow, that one was close to the bank. So straight back on there, and then don't forget to start that stopwatch again. Now, like I said, 2 minutes is my bite window, but let's be honest, there's a lot of this white stuff on here now. It's pulling that tip along, so I'm going to try and get it underneath that, because like I said, there you go, you need no bend in the tip. But you don't always catch every 2 minutes, and this is why you need to be disciplined, because when you're sitting here watching this, and I hope you can probably see it on camera, it's just constantly dancing. Like 2 minutes seems a long while when you're not getting a bite, when there's that much fish activity in there. You just think, how is that not going in like 10 seconds? Don't get me wrong, sometimes it does, sometimes it's literally going in your hand, but there is definitely situations where your cast might not be sitting perfectly, your bait can be sitting under a stone, anything like that. So using that stopwatch, I said it before, is so important to keep the swim going. You can extend it if you want, if you're not getting any bites within 2 minutes, go to 3, go to 4, 5 would be the most I would do on this method. But certainly, like, get it as short as you can. So for me now, if I don't really have a bite within the first 2 minutes of going in, there we go. If I don't have a bite within 2 minutes, that was 1 minute and 5, then it's just not going. And I think they're either eating most of the bait and they're getting away with my hook bait, or something's wrong. It's just sitting underneath it. What have we got here? We've got a little F1 this time. Like I said, it's mega fishing, and it is super important to stay active, keep yourself mobile, keep those casts going in and build up that picture. You could bring it down, if you kept getting bites within 2 minutes, you could even bring it less than that. But I think 2 minutes is pretty fair, really. I wouldn't really go much less than 1.5 minutes, because you have got to give them some time to actually find it and get on your hook bait. So what I'll do is I'll go out there once more. Let's reset that stopwatch nice and early. I'm not even going to change my wafty. One good thing about those spikes, now they sit on there quite nicely. I can just go back in, load up the feeder. I said that double layer is quite important as well. There's not enough bait, well, there is enough bait on there, but just having that extra, pull them in. I need more and more fish in here, and hopefully we're going to get another one. Let's have another go. There we go. It's a really strange, it's a tough cast because it's so small. Right, start that stopwatch and let's see what happens that time. I have got one more thing to perhaps mention, which it hasn't, oh, has it gone straight? It hasn't quite happened to us yet, but sometimes what you find is the same as if you're fishing down the edge on a pole or anything like that. you have a good hour, 2 hours, something like that, and it's brilliant. You think this is the best thing ever, and then all of a sudden it goes a bit funny and you can't get a bite, or you're getting loads of line. The same thing can happen in a situation like this. You've just got so many fish there, and I think they've almost become wary of the spot. So if you get that situation, what I would do is just move 2 or 3 meters to the right or the left. I'm not talking like complete new swim right down the bank, just a couple of meters sometimes, just so they're not feeding on that exact same spot every time, can make a big difference. And that can also pick you out a bigger fish as well. So I might even do that. I might fish away for another few casts on here, and then I might try just 3 or 4 meters off and start a new swim, because sometimes when it does go a little bit funny, that's definitely worth a bigger fish. Or you can like pretty much start again as you did at the start of the session. So for me that feels like a long while. But it's been at 1:16 and I'm thinking, come on, I should have had a bite. But I'm pretty sure it's not going to take too much longer. I'll catch a couple more. If we don't have a bigger fish within that sort of 2 or 3 minute window, then I'm definitely going to try what I was saying about going either side of it and see if we can pick a big one up that way. What a fish that is. I hadn't need to change any of the spots, to be honest. Like I said, if it does go slow, then you can just move into a different area. But today is definitely not one of those days. And I was going to try and finish on a bigger fish, but strangely, I think we talked this up. We just spoke to the owner and he said there's some true crucians in here. What about that for a special one to finish on? That's got to be, I don't know, it's probably getting towards £2, and not very often do you see crucians like that. But yeah, that is an unbelievable way to finish. Probably not the fish you would associate catching on the method feeder when you're catching loads of other species, but well happy with that. I hope that it's give you some encouragement. You can get out and make your session, like I said, from good to absolutely carnage. Get the bait going in, use those pointers that I've talked you through, and you too can have a few fish. So I hope you've enjoyed that. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button for many more Masterclasses to come. But for now, we are going to head off.